Welcome back to a best of 3 series of professional StarCraft 2. Today it's time for a Terran versus Protoss, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on Pride of Altaris. Spawning right here in the top left-hand corner of the map, playing with the red Protoss probes from Denmark, we have one of my favorite Protoss players in the world, and his name is MaxPax. The opponent, all the way in the opposite corner, with the, the teal Terran SCVs, the cyan, the light blue, whatever you want to call this. Likewise, also one of my favorites. We're looking at none other than ByuN's main command center. And ByuN, of course, is from South Korea. Now, MaxPax going for what we call the MaxPax opener. And actually, ByuN has also sent out an SCV. Okay, we're doing Proxy versus Proxy in game number 1. I heard that this particular series from a recent ESL Open Cup is a really good one. So I didn't know what to expect, but I guess we're finding out together here. So MaxPax going for a relatively conservative gateway placement. Generally speaking, whenever he goes for what we call the MaxPax opener, it's basically pylon into another pylon. Theoretically, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but it catches Terran players off guard. Anyways, usually he likes to plant it down, like, say, right over here, right? Or, like, right over there in the back of, like, the third base of the Terran player. Usually what you want to do is send the Zealot in to kill the command center building SCV and sometimes the command center itself as well. It can become a total disaster. MaxPax at this point sees that it's double gas, though, inside of the main base. He doesn't scout the Rex. Well, obviously, it's because it's on the other side of the map. The problem is, though, he doesn't know that, right? There's many instances... Alright, there's many instances where, well, Terran players will hide their very first barracks over there, or like, alright, it doesn't really matter, right? Like, Terrans like to hide their very first structure. MaxPax actually now, well, blocking off the potential here for a factory at the top of the ramp, but this is about to get really strange. So, inside of the main base of the Protoss, we have another gateway coming up. We have a Cybernetics Core 2. Bunker coming up here for ByuN, building it in such a location that the surface area of it is going to be quite tricky. Need a little bit of RNG right here as the Terran player to actually get a little... Oh, did he see that? No, he didn't. Okay, well, anyways, Reaper going into the main base. He's not going to be able to look at that. He's not going to be able to snipe that unit down. Nice surround here! Beautiful surround right here by MaxPax. Grenade will be thrown at the Reaper's feet as well. It does get saved for a second, but it does get sniped here in the end. That was actually such a critical move right there from Max. He immediately set up the surround while ByuN was busy looking at home. Anyways, Zealot number 1 has arrived. I mean, do you put down shield batteries over here right now? There's not going to be that much available here for our... I mean, you could if you wanted to, if you're MaxPax. Anyways, there's not that much available right here for the Terran player to defend against this. Second Zealot is coming up as well. Double Stalker is a follow-up. There it is. Shield battery indeed is now building inside of the main base of the Terran player. Keep in mind, after the new patch, they don't spawn with as much energy as they used to, so this is not as strong as it may have once been, but this is already an excellent start right here for MaxPax. I wasn't entirely sure what to think of it, but I think getting that surround right there on the very first Reaper was absolutely huge. Very quick decision-making right there by the young Danish player. Anyways, we do have a couple of Stalkers available too. I was looking at the gateway if he was going to make another one. Turns out he is, but he's also now adding on a Nexus at the Golden Expo. Maybe that's the reason why he decided to plant the very first, I don't know, the very first gateway right over here to create like a semi-wall-off in this area? I'm not exactly sure. Anyways, let's continue watching the actual units here. Obviously, Protoss versus Terran is very unit-focused in general. Upgrades usually not as important. Well, at least not as, for example, as in Zork versus Terran or, you know, any of these other matchups in the game. Oh, is he going to snipe it? Nope. He's not going to be able to snipe the Widow Mine. And with that, I think that Terran's going to be okay, other than for the fact that, yeah, he cannot actually finish the Cyber Core. Or, sorry, what's it called? The Command Center. I mean, it's CC, right? Cybernetics Core is CC as well as Command Center is also CC. Anyways, he cancels it. He decides to go for the Command Center inside of the main base. And while he's going to be okay when it comes to controlling this section of the map, for the time being, ByuN knows absolutely nothing. That's why he's sending out this Reaper once again. He needs to know what the follow-up here from our Protoss player is going to be. It could be a one-base all-in. It could be just a standard natural expo. He hasn't found the gateway yet, so he doesn't actually know what's happening. He's probably making the assumption that everything is now actually building inside of the net right over here. He is not going to enjoy the fact that it's actually building at the gold. Yeah, he sees a probe right now transferred as well. He knows that something's not quite right. Recall will be used right here on some of the workers from the main base. And MaxPax is gonna get himself a nice little economical boost. For now, it looks okay because the mules are still going to town. But very soon, Yep, you'll see that the Terran player is going to be a little bit behind. Anyways, in the meantime, inside of the main base, Reaper getting some sort of work done. I guess we had a little bit of a skirmish over here at the front too. This is where ByuN, though, is going to be up with his back against the wall. How much do you actually want to do? So right now, he's figured out exactly what's happening. He probably already figured it out. But yeah, the income differential at this point is going to be quite significant. Good exchange right here in the early stages of this game for Max. But obviously, ByuN is still one of the very best micro players in the world. And he can certainly claw his way back into a match like this. I guess the main question is, what sort of ByuN do we have today, right? I feel like half of the games where I cast ByuN, he's going like, you know, a million ghosts and super defensively, and he's trying to play that Maru-esque style. Actually, I have to hold that thought because we do have a Widowmine drop right now. Okay, no response yet from Max. A little bit slow on that, probably looking at the other stuff. 5 workers end up going down. Anyways, what I'm trying to get at, ByuN also has these days, though, where he's literally just, like, making mass marine against, like, the opponent's colossi. He's like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna, like, micro my marines better. If I split them ever so slightly better, it's gonna be just fine. And interestingly enough, it sometimes does work out, but it looks like we have the very first version of ByuN today, where he's going siege tanks, liberators, and all the rest of it. I mean, I don't think he has a whole lot of choice in this particular match so far, just because, well, he would just get absolutely torn apart by, of course, that micro here from MaxPax as well, who's now gonna go into the blink upgrade. Widowmines continuously being annoying. This one actually hasn't fired yet. Supply-wise, though, you can tell here that ByuN is actually not really in that bad of a spot. Don't get me wrong, he's not in a good one either. But this is the point where Terrans are essentially impossible to kill, especially on a map like this. I mean, as long as you have control of this ramp, as well as, like, I guess the little jump-up pad over here inside of the main base. There's not really that much that you can do here as a Protoss player, so ByuN is going to be able to secure the natural here eventually. Nice scout here by MaxPax. Beautiful position right there on that observer. Apparently, he knows exactly where to put it. Anyways. Here we go. A little bit of a skirmish in the middle of the map. Siege tanks are rolling on over. He obviously wants to create a chokehold on this base. MaxPax right now going for a robo facility as well. Chrono boosting out the Immortal. If you can get the siege tanks in good spots, obviously there are some locations here where you can maybe slowly work away at that base and then eventually overwhelm it. The problem is that in about, well, a minute or so from now, we will have charts done. This is also indeed that moment where MaxPax is going to continue building up the gateway count. So soon there's going to be a lot of army out here for our Protoss player. And there's a good chance that at that point, ByuN will be overwhelmed. He needs to be careful. At the same time, though, he probably wants to wait until Stimpack is done. He's gonna hit a bit of a power spike here in about half a minute, too. So this could be a little bit awkward here. Okay, Observer does get sniped. So for now, at the very least, MaxPax doesn't know exactly where that Terran army is located. I guess it's a relatively safe assumption to make. Anyways, I think you need to go. Okay, good timing here by ByuN. Yep, he's got 3 siege tanks over here right now. Without stalkers and, you know, supported right here by zealots, there's no way you're going to be able to actually shut this down. That being said, MaxPax also moving out on the offensive, it seems. ByuN making the high-level decision here to go back home. He doesn't really know exactly what he's going up against, but now he sees that charge is done, and I do think that's probably the right call. That economical advantage from MaxPax would certainly kick in. Lovely micro here from ByuN, hiding the Marines right there behind the siege tank. Keeping everything alive. Well, except for those 2 SCVs, but overall, actually, the trading here from the South Korean Terran has been really, really good. Yeah, MaxPax likes to play this very... What do you call it? What do we call it? Like, very vulnerable, very brittle style of Protoss? Where usually he will try and basically just out-control the opponent, and he plays a style where you're not allowed to make any mistakes whatsoever. Generally speaking, against people below the tippity top of the Terrans, right? He will just absolutely tear them apart, right? Because against those guys, you can still at least make some errors here and there. But against someone of the caliber of ByuN, or say, for example, like a Maru or a Clem, or any of those top-tier Terrans, like a Cure, right? They will not allow you to just lose a couple units here and there. Like, MaxPax doesn't really go for a very sturdy unit composition, especially in the earlier stages of the game. Really relying on mostly Stalkers and Zealots and all that instead. Eventually, though, he is going to be able to go into the Robotics Bay here. He's already started up the 4th Nexus, too. This is honestly a little bit greedy. Because, I mean, he's already a base up on his opponent. I guess the 3rd Command Center here is done, so MaxPax wants to you know, stay at that economical lead, but he does need to be careful that he doesn't get carried away. Another good snipe right there by ByuN, who's gonna start up his signature play. I guess he already started it up with the Widow Mines earlier, but he's very good at the drop shenanigans. Stalker still roaming the map. It reminds me a lot of the way that Parting used to play this. Yeah, you really cannot look away there, right? Like, that's another Stalker down. I think we've seen like 4 or 5 Stalkers going down this game. Well, maybe not 4 or 5. No, only 2 actually. But we've seen a lot of Stalkers take a lot of damage. Just because they weren't paid attention to. And it's... The reason I bring it up is because it's one of those things that you can accidentally lose the game with. If you lose a couple too many here and there, the Terran army will just be a bit too strong. Anyways. Siege tank right there did end up going down at the front. Another siege tank at half health. Did he just kill the Roomba? What? I need to go back. Sorry. There's blood in the main base. Oh, maybe it was actually just one of these units instead. Alright, I think it was... Wait, these units bleed? I guess it was the Zealot in the main base instead. I thought for a second he, like, killed one of the critters. Oh, no. Alright, that makes a little bit more sense. I was a bit confused there. I thought I was gonna learn today that apparently Zealots also do have red blood. Maybe they do. I think they just kind of puff in a... Or they like, go poof in a cloud of, like, you know, cyan-colored smoke, right? Kind of like the color that ByuN is playing here. Oh my god, maybe he's painted the units in the blood of his enemies. That would explain the teal colors anyways. Normally we have, like, red versus blue or sometimes some green in there when the pros feel really fancy. Anyways, this is what I'm talking about, though. ByuN getting some good damage done inside of the main. Yeah. Slowly, the units are being picked away at, but now there's a big push right here in the center of the map. Good set of force fields, but the siege tanks still separated away here behind that wall of force fields. Shield battery with the battery overcharge, quite nice as well. Only halfway done here on the extended thermal lance. Liberator inside of the main base. ByuN is starting to pile on the pressure. Siege tanks, so careful, man. Gotta be so careful here where you're MaxPax. He does decide to engage. I mean, he does have 2 Immortals there in the front. They're target firing down the Immortal, or sorry, the Marauders as well as the Siege tanks. And he should be okay. That being said, ByuN coming up with the reinforcements. Ghost added into the mix as well. He's gonna be able to start working at least on some of those units, but the heavy hitters here from MaxPax will stay alive. 9 kills right there on that Immortal, 7 on the other one. Colossi not getting that much work done just yet, but it makes it hard right here for ByuN to commit to too many Marines. Obviously, I mean, maybe not so ByuN, but most Terran players are deterred to go away from the heavy Marine focus as soon as they see that multiple Colossi are out on the battlefield, and soon we're gonna go up to 4. That is a lot. Anyways, Ghost drop right here together with some Marauders. The fact that ByuN is actually getting all of this done is so impressive. He doesn't actually know about the 4th base right here, though, of our Protoss player. So maybe he's making the assumption this is 3 base Protoss. Anyways, soon to be 5 base Protoss, it seems. MaxPax not slowing down. Honestly, this is showing a lot of maturity in MaxPax's playstyle. I feel like... Maybe I'm mistaken, but like a year ago or so, he used to go like a little bit more aggressively, but now he's playing the classic style of when you're ahead, get more ahead. MaxPax also, you know, of course, only 17 years old. He's been rapidly improving as a player. Okay. ByuN right now scans the 4th base. He sees probes transfer towards the 5th base. And he realizes, wait a second, I'm probably not going to be able to win that. But that does seem like a bit of an early GG to me. Sadly, I've talked about this a little bit in the past as well, but ByuN has never been able to control his wrist issues. So he's had wrist issues for a very long time right now, and every once in a while he has to just quit playing the game. Like sometimes in the middle of a series, like in some of the instances he's paused games in the middle of it going on, just because his wrists hurt as much as they do. So maybe that was one of those situations just now where he's like, okay, I'm in a bad spot, my wrists are hurting like crazy, I need to take a break. Honestly, it really is a bit of a sad story, because ByuN, I mean... Yeah, he's a very explosive player, right? He's very good at, you know, but if you micro your units that aggressively, like sometimes I guess you explode your own wrists. Yeah, it's pretty rough. I hope he can somehow, some way figure out a way to take it under control, but I'm sure he's tried everything at this point, and Yeah, I guess our wrists aren't made to micro Terran units. Interestingly enough, whenever we talk about wrist issues in StarCraft players, it's been very common over the years also with StarCraft 1 professionals, but it seems to pretty much always be the Terrans. So I'm not exactly sure if someone has done the research as to why that is. Obviously, there's many things you can do to make it better, right? With, like, weightlifting and being fit and all that, right? But, like, I guess if I were to make an assumption, it probably has to do with the fact that marine splitting, right, and moving those units around, it's very minute little movements you make with your wrist, and I guess we're just not made to do that. If you do it too much, I mean, ByuN is also an absolute grinder, right? Like, there's days where ByuN seems to be playing every single online tournament that goes on, so he's, like, playing for, like, 12 hours. That probably doesn't help. If I, you know, were to think out loud here, that probably is not a great idea. Anyways, it does kind of suck if that is what is holding you back from time to time. I hope he can take it under control at some point. Anyways. ByuN scouting around his side of the map. He's checking out if there's once again a gateway coming up. He's also simultaneously proxied his very first barracks, so that's why we have some thorough scouting right here by MaxPax. This time around, though, it seems like a more conventional start here from the both of them. Obviously, this is telling the story, though, of the series. Hello. That Reaper was like, you know what? I'll let you live with one health. Never mind. Not gonna happen. Alright, Max. What are we gonna do? We'll probably add on a tech structure. Excuse me. He's probably gonna add on a tech structure right over here. Come on. There it is. A Stargate. Delaying the Warp Gate research in favor of a slightly faster Stargate. The thing is, even though this is preventing the Terran player from getting into the main base, it's not preventing the Terran player from actually scouting. So he's probably going to try and jump up. He knows there's a caution sign there, but he has to, you know, there's arrows right over there too, right? So he's going to figure out that there is indeed, all right, a Stargate. Always nice to know. MaxPax, of course, also a huge fan of the Void Ray. The Void Ray got nerfed. 6 seconds longer on the production time, 50 minerals more expensive. It definitely has affected him quite a bit. He was basically making Void Rays in all matchups. This time around, he's opting to go for a Phoenix instead. Okay. Yeah, I think MaxPax is probably one of the players who has been struggling a little bit more in the new patch than most of the other Protoss players out there. If I have a quick look at his current rank, he has gone down a little bit. So he was in the top 10 in the world overall. Okay, right now he's apparently, according to a Liga, like, considered to be the rank 12 in the world. Rank 5 outside of South Korea, which is obviously still very impressive. I mean, to be fair, the most recent balance patch before the previous one was like 2 years before that. And, you know, those 2 years make up like, you know, 15% of MaxPax's total life. No, okay, maybe that's a little extreme. But I don't really know exactly how MaxPax or how long MaxPax has been playing this game for. He definitely has only been playing the game at this level for, well, about 2 years right now, or less than that. So it's like the first big patch, or like, it's a small patch, but like the first patch ever since he got to the professional level. So maybe he takes a little bit more time to adjust to it. But currently, apparently, the top 10 outside of South Korea. I gave you guys the top 10 inside of South Korea a couple of days ago. Or maybe even yesterday. Anyways, currently outside of South Korea, according to Aligalek, it's Serral, Raynor, Clem, Hero Marine, MaxPax, Showtime, Skillis, Elaser, Alambo, and then Estrella. I think especially that top 5 is pretty accurate. Cool to see that Mr. Skillis is actually considered to be the rank 7 in the world overall, right? Or, sorry, in outside of the world of Korea, right? Like, outside of South Korea. Apparently, Mr. Skillis has been climbing through the ranks. I haven't actually covered him too much on the channel recently. Maybe it's about time I actually have a look. Okay. Mule ended up going down right there. We also did see a Phoenix, though, getting picked off, and that's not ideal here for Protoss whatsoever. So MaxPax is gonna go for the classical approach, where first off you make a bunch of those Phoenixes, right? Phoenixes are really good at forcing the opponent to stay home. So you can see right here that ByuN is going to go into the classic Stim Pack, Combat Shield, +1 infantry weapons. He's just going to sort of chill with those upgrades, not move out until they're done. And this should give our Protoss player a little bit of time to go up towards a Colossus. Usually, anyways. Didn't I see a Robo Bay? Did he just cancel a Roto? No, he does have it. Okay, did I have it on my screen and I didn't notice? There we go. Anyways, you need a little bit of time to get those units out. They're very expensive. Ideally, you get the extended thermal lens too, but the upgrade is quite pricey. But the Phoenixes are still going to be quite nice, because as soon as, like, you move out here as a Terran player, you know that those Phoenixes are going to pick up half your economy. They're going to pick up all of those SCVs, and they don't really care about missile turrets either. They're actually quite tanky. Anyways, action right here was on ByuN as soon as these upgrades are done. MaxPax in the meantime, taking control of the third base, knowing that there's a push coming in soon. So he started up shield batteries there at the third. Shield battery in the natural already done. There's the Colossus. Second Colossus coming up. Extended thermal lens about a third of the way done. Hello. Did we just see 2 Phoenixes going down? Alright. Relatively, yeah. I mean, I guess the one Widow Mine right there was unscouted, so he didn't know, but relatively sloppy. You don't really want to lose 2 of those Phoenixes at this stage in the game yet. You don't want to keep them around until the later stages either, ideally, but... Anyways, already the economy right here for Max is huge. Big stim pack activated by ByuN as well. Maybe a little bit overly excited about it. I actually don't mind the idea of him going into the main base. There's also a Raven here in the mix. Ravens have a skill called Interference Matrix that can temporarily disable Colossi. Well, and a bunch of other units too. But this is actually... Careful now, Mr. MaxPax. The Raven? Hello, Raven. He wants to snipe the Raven, obviously, with the Phoenixes if he can. Cybercore, by the way, got killed. That means that there's no potential right here for additional Stalkers. Okay, Phoenixes do end up killing the Raven. Very good snipe right there for Max. That suddenly makes losing those 4 Phoenixes almost worth it. The problem is, like, maybe not as far as, like, a net value goes, right, on those units. Like, as far as the total resources spent. But a Raven with full energy is certainly... certainly one of the most powerful tools in the trade of the Terran player. And honestly, so far, MaxPax is toying with his opponent here in this game. That's actually pretty sick, right? Like, ByuN is obviously one of the very best StarCraft 2 players of all time. The fact that MaxPax, 17-year-old Protoss player from Denmark, I mean, I know I mentioned that every single cast, sometimes multiple times. Maybe I've already said it today, but, like, the fact that MaxPax is actually making ByuN, yeah, look like a bit of a fool so far in this game is extremely cool. Yeah, I think it's... I mean, it's definitely not a MaxPax win yet, don't get me wrong, but... The fact that at the very least MaxPax is holding himself just fine is very nice. Another Nexus coming up. Pylons are being sprinkled all over the map. This is just to get you a little bit of vision. If you're going to build the pylons, may as well build them around the map, although MaxPax did make quite a few of them. He's at 128 out of 165. ByuN's next tool right here is to go, of course, for those ghosts. He's already got a couple of them. Every Terran player's favorite MOBA unit. The nice advantage, though, is that you don't have to rely on your teammates, right? You don't have to, like, GG after every single lost battle if you are the entire MOBA team in one, you know, one swoop. Snipe is good, but EMP, obviously, in particular, is amazing. They can cloak. They also have the opportunity to launch a nuke. English, hard language. Anyhow, Zealots in the main base, dealing a lot of damage. At the same time, actually, the Protoss player has moved up towards the high ground. There are some sentries. There's one sentry right here in the mix. Quite important. Okay, Council right there as well in the CC. 18 SCVs have just gone down. Some interesting movement right here for MaxPax, but it seems to be working out for him. ByuN once more caught with his pants down. He needs to be careful though, MaxPax, that is. I mean, this is a strong Protoss army, but it's also like 4 units in total, okay? Like, it's really not that big. You gotta be very careful. You did not get overwhelmed right here with Marines and Marauders. One EMP can change the tide of battle very quickly. So I actually like the idea of just going all the way back home, yeah. Build up the Death Bowl. Use the main army for posturing while the Zealots in the main base get the actual damage done. Yeah, MaxPax in this matchup is kind of like he's kind of like a tightrope walker, you know what I mean? Like he sometimes makes like a jump while he's walking on the rope as well. Occasionally, he like even throws the stick that they usually use for balance to throw it at the opponent, right? Like he's a very dangerous player, but he also plays a very dangerous playstyle for himself. Because it's like one mistake away from being an absolute disaster. He laughs in the face of danger, though. Once again, sending a lot of units in for the counterattack. Zealot's getting some work done, but now, okay, finally ByuN is getting some follow-up damage in, too. If he target fires down the Nexus, he could have gotten it. Okay, didn't target it down. Instead, he's trying to posture once again on the left side of the map, getting another scan in. He sees that part of the Protoss army is not in the right position. That being said, it didn't go all the way towards the right side of the map either. And it looks to me like, once again, MaxPax got the advantage out of this exchange, keeping both of the third base as well as the fourth base alive. Big warp in, though. In the main base, is it enough to push away this Terran drop? Colossi still having an absolute field day. Splitting up the army is one of the absolute hardest things to do here as a Protoss. Like, if you don't do it correctly, you lose both the third and the fourth, right? That's happened many times in my games. I don't want to talk about it. Anyways, once again, ByuN trying to go in, but so far he's just not getting it done. Very, very nice work right here by Max. Yeah, so, like, there's real maturity in the playstyle that MaxPax has, right? Like, a year or two ago, he would just send all of the units that he had to watch the other side of the map, and he still loves doing it, right? He still likes playing aggressively too, but he is playing far more conservatively, far more defensively, and he seems to play more confidently in the units that he's got. Making that split right there of having the units right over there as well as right over there and then defending the drop in the like, that is extremely hard. Super easy to mess up here. Yeah, very impressed. Dark Shrine coming up. We're going for the Disruptor transition, but honestly, I think MaxPax might be able to go in for the kill. He's got an awful lot of army here. I say that. Terran also still has a lot of stuff. Huge EMP right there by ByuN. Once again, getting some good damage done. Target fires down the Disruptor too. Zealots, though, coming in from the back. Okay, Colossi. There's so many of them. Just shooting laser after laser. There's only 2 Vikings available. I mean, MaxPax is from Denmark himself. He's essentially a Viking as it is. 2 Vikings. I mean, he's gonna easily out micro those. That's like his, his 2 neighbors, right? Like, that's definitely not enough. And with that, ByuN is forced to tap out of the game, and MaxPax obtains the victory to 2-0.